Hello, I'm Ryan F9, and these are the best motorcycle gloves I've used since we last made a glove video many years ago. I always look for the same three things in a glove. Number one, the leather palm. Nothing vibes better against the bars, nothing slides further on the pavement. Manufacturers will try to trick you into all kinds of synthetic bullshit at the entry and middle level prices, but every professional glove has a leather palm, and that says something. In this case, I am touching goat because it is thinner and suppler than cow, calm down furries, and stitched externally. Also preferable because when you grab something, you won't feel the seams. Now, I don't always crash hand first, but when I do, I instinctively land like this. So the second thing I look for is the hard slider. This is the one thing that's gonna prevent your wrist from sticking and becoming the hinge that your whole body levers around until you break your radius, which is not very humorous. The third thing that I look for is a very soft knuckle armor. Super as it looks, not many people crash fist first, so there's not a ton of point to the typical hard part you see here unless you punch like a lot of pedestrians. Myself, I only connect with a few a week, and even then, any impulse transmitted here is pretty well attenuated by the swing of your arm. And the real reason that manufacturers build these is because us idiots put on gloves and go, "Ooh, yeah, this feels pretty strong." That, and there is crush protection from a true metacarpal multi-density plate when the bike falls on your hand, but for that you need a more sophisticated piece that we're gonna talk about later. So for now, leather palm, hard slider, and nothing that's gonna rub your knuckles raw. I don't really care about the rest. In this case, it's a 3D mesh that Revit calls the Sand 5. It is a very excellent choice for $150. However, if I needed something with a little more weather protection, I'd spend a little more to make sure that it lasts a long time, because these gloves are pretty expensive to begin with. So I'd go for something from Klim, because these are my own Klim winter gloves. They are on their 9th winter. They'll see a 10th, an 11th, a 12th, much to my marketing director's disappointment, because they work perfectly and I'll keep using them as long as they work. If I needed new winter gloves though, I'd go for the modern equivalent, which is this Badlands GTX. See, the problem with weatherproof gloves is always the number of layers, right? I've got 3M Thinsulate to keep me warm on the backhand. I've got a waterproof liner, Vortex, the goat leather palm, have a neoprene membrane here as a gaiter to stop droplets getting in, a slip liner for when my hand is already wet. And all those layers make the feedback very poor, traditionally. But that is what Klim has been working on for the last 9 years. So they introduced this crease seam so the glove can fold rather than just bunching up between your hand and the grip. Then they imported their super fabric. And super fabric is something that Klim has been working on for quite a while. They pioneered it when they were trying to make their textile jackets slide like leather. It's basically a bunch of tiny ceramic dots that are very hard and very low friction, and you can slide to a highway speed stop on your grandma's tea set. It really works. The problem with super fabric is that it's more expensive to laser weld all these tiny plates onto a garment than it is to raise a heifer for the slaughter. So it never made a ton of sense on a leather jacket. In gloves though, super fabric has found its happy place. For one, you don't need much. For two, it has the benefit of being a really low friction sliding zone, same benefit as a hard slider, without the feedback problem of having to hold a hard plate in your hand. Now, I've conducted some extremely professional, rigorous tests a couple times a day for the last few months on the feedback from these gloves. Watch this. Oh, it's just sublime. I don't know a winter glove that feels better than this one. Some other of Klim's innovations, a little less well respected on my part. They call this a set it and forget it wrist closure. You do up the bottom cuff and then the upper wrist noose connects to it. The idea being that subsequent uses will loosen and tighten both in one movement. Now that is new, but also problematic, right? Because in a crash, if you pop that closure, well, you've popped both at once, and now the whole glove is liable to rip off. Now, fortunately, you can outsmart Klim's too smart solution here by doing it up like this. First the wrist, and then the cuff. And now popping one won't pop both. And for that reason, I still like the Klim GTX, Badlands GTX, for $300. Now $300 you save for a mitten. I know, it is a little bit hard to believe. But, believe it or not, gloves actually top out around 500 bucks with something like the Alpinestars GP Pro R4. And to be fair, this is straight from MotoGP, and it passes something called CEKP2. Now, level 2 in a glove means a few things. It means that it needs to have a cuff that extends more than 50 millimeters from the wrist line, so full gauntlets only. It also means that it has to pass a tear-off test at 50 newtons instead of 25, so good wrist strap. I don't really care about this. It works out to like 11 pounds versus 6. It's not like a massive difference, but level 2 also means that the palm needs to pass a cut test, like in level 1, but also the entire rest of the glove. So all these top hand synthetics that are normally kind of cosmetic are backed with Kevlar. And if you have a Kevlar lining, you might as well extend it underneath the other pieces of leather because Kevlar has very high heat capacity. So we can have a thin piece of gout here that will sink all the friction heat of a long slide. It's wonderful. But now our stack is quite thick, so to stitch with the rest of the glove, we need a thicker bovine leather up here in the finger gussets. Only cowhide doesn't work great in the palm, so there we need kangaroo, which is the springiest and strongest leather of all. Manufacturers just use it sparingly because you have to pay Crocodile Dundee quite a lot of money to catch the hoppy cunts. So we've got 3 different animals and an aramid. You can see how this is starting to get a little bit expensive. And the other thing about level 2 is that it takes 3 different materials to make the metacarpal plate as well. It has to be quite large and quite protective. So you need something hard, something medium, and something soft so that you get a plate that is dexterous enough to play the piano, but also strong enough to support the piano. So, a few other things at play here. We've got the hard slider. I wouldn't recommend you a glove without them. And for the first time, we are seeing the pinky bridge. Gory as it sounds, I have 2 friends with 9 fingers because in a long motorcycle slide, it's very common for the weakest link to get rolled under and ripped right off. So this piece of leather is no joke for making sure that your little piggy doesn't go wee 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 all the way down the home straight. Nailed it. Alpinestars, however, did not pioneer the pinky strap. They stole it from my favorite glove maker, which is Five. See? Now, Five only makes gloves, so they tend to think of the best stuff first, like this SF1 Evo, which has a extremely rare and extremely useful combination of features. You'll notice again, hard slider, the goat leather palm stitched externally, but we have that massive metacarpal crush zone, which is built like a helmet. We have a rigid external layer, and then you see this soft honeycomb crush liner underneath. They actually put a little window here because they're so proud of it. It's called Ergo Protect. And what that means is this glove is every bit as safe as the $500 MotoGP track gloves, just down to here, right? To CE level 1 because it's not a full gauntlet. That, however, is not a concession to the gods of money or style. And Five built these, designed these strategically for their supermoto racers. People who need track protection, right, on the pavement sections, but also can't run a full gauntlet because that glove has to work at 90 degrees when they're in the dirt. Now, supermoto is a very niche sport, but it's quite funny because it makes for the perfect glove for myself and most of the people I ride with. We go fast on the pavement sometimes, we go bumpy on the dirt sometimes. So this is the ideal, safest glove for our use, and that's not even counting the fact that it's less than half the price of those Alpinestars ones. The other thing to know about Five, and this is very important, is that they fit differently. In the rest of these, I am a large, and Five, I have extra large hands. So that's quite important, share it around. It's actually not even Five, it doesn't matter, just Brian F9 has extra large hands. Tell your friends, tell your mom. That's really important to know. So, Revit Sand 5 is gonna be the best glove that is not heinously expensive. The Klein Badlands GTX is the most wonderful feeling weatherproof glove that I've ever used. Alpinestars GP Pro R4 is a slice of MotoGP in 3 different slices of 3 different animals. And then the Five SF1 Evo is the glove that I would really choose for the way that I really ride. Thank you very much for watching, and thanks to our sponsor, which is the Fort 9 Chemical Kit. This did not exist up until a couple weeks ago when my boss called me and he said, "Hey Ryan, you know when you place orders for the gear that you test out?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, whenever you do it, there's always the same 3 chemicals in the cart." I said, "Yeah." So he says, "Why do we never see them in videos?" I say, "Well, I'm not buying these for videos. I'm buying these because we use them on our motorcycles and we just happen to keep running out of them." So the SC1 is known as new bike in a can, the cheesiest of nicknames, but fully deserved. It's a silicone top coat that we spray on everything that we have to film or sell. If you've never used this, you honestly do not know the magic that you're missing. The Maxima electrical contact cleaner is like brake clean, except it's safe on electricals, so we use this to clean anything that is dirty. It also smells like lemon and doesn't feel exactly like cancer when you drip some on your hand. Probably it's still causing cancer, just a more fragrant version of it. An iPhone 6-in-1 is a penetrating lubricant, water displacer, rust preventer, much like that other water displacer we're all familiar with. Only rather than being formulated in 1953, this was formulated within the last decade, and unsurprisingly, it does work better. Fortnine's Garage goes through more of these 3 cans than we go through anything. As motorcycle owners, it's kind of anything that we really need. It's all we really need. And as such, we bundled it and are selling it for a discount down below. Click the link if you really need it, but as always, please do not buy anything that you don't really need. Cheers.